Now, there are various types of sellers, and we're going to cover the ones that are important for you to focus on for a moment. So some of the businesses you're going to look at, the sellers are going to be burned out, but they're still proud. They have pride in their company and they want to see it have a good future. They may be loyal to their employees, to their community, but they're financially anxious. They need to know they've got enough money to have financial security. And what that means, by the way, is if there's a seller financing element to this, they got to have confidence they're going to get paid on their seller financing note. Sometimes the sellers are stuck and unsure how to let go. But there's another kind of seller too. And these are folks who don't really want to sell, but they have a need and they can't fill it. They're trying to get to the next level, but they don't know how. They're stuck at a plateau, don't know how to transcend it. And what they really want is not a buyer, but they really want is a growth partner. And that means they maybe need your capital or financial know-how because you know how to make money where there is none, right? That's what you're here to start financing to do. So they either need the capital or your financial know-how, how to finesse capital. They need your skills and experience, right? So they want to grow. They can't do it themselves. They need a growth partner. And if you position yourself right, that's you. Now, cosmic bond, what is it and why does it win? Well, first of all, let's look at a definition. And I don't mean this to be an exclusive definition, meaning no other definition would apply, but it's just a good one. The cosmic bond is a deep connection between you and the seller where basically you like, trust, and respect each other. And you both want each other to come out of this transaction successful because you really built that bond of like, trust, and respect. And that means that even if your offer isn't the highest or the best terms, that cosmic bond carries the day. There are three ingredients to the cosmic bond. Number one is respect. And you build that when you show admiration for what they built. Okay. So you show admiration for what they built. You show respect to the seller. And the natural thing when somebody shows you respect is a reciprocation. You can't help but have some respect for people who show respect to you. The second item is trust. And that's a matter of demonstrating character, not just competence. There are a lot of people out there very competent, but you wouldn't trust them. And so competence isn't enough. Trust is a very important element. And you heard me say before, liking each other. Okay. Well, how do you get to like somebody in business, especially? And the key to this is generally a shared vision. And so when you're talking to the seller, you want to be painting a future with them in it, even if temporarily, even if they're only going to be there for a 6-month transition period or a year, or maybe they're going to be there for 3 to 5 years and run the business, during which time you will replace them with somebody really wonderful over time. In fact, that may be part of their mission is to find their replacement and build it into the company. But if you pay attention to these three areas, respect, trust, and have a shared vision with the seller in it, you have gone a long way towards establishing a very strong cosmic bond with that seller that makes them want you to be the buyer. It's really a matter of winning the seller's heart. Okay, let me tell you something that happened just today. We received a notice from a broker this morning that the seller has just signed the LOI and it's on its way now back to us. And so I haven't seen it yet, but I suspect that it's now back in the hands of our people here. And this is a $50 million company. And it produces a consumer goods product that is sold almost exclusively over the internet through various platforms that I'm sure you're all familiar with. They outsource the production, and they're mainly a design and IP company that outsources its product lines to be manufactured, and then they market it over these various internet platforms. And this is a $50 million purchase. That's its enterprise value. Okay, so I'll give you an idea of its value. Now, the company is owned and operated by a brother and sister. And the reason that the company was for sale is that they had taken it as far as they could. They were good marketing people. They were good design and product development people. And that's why the company did so well. But it had now outgrown them. It had grown to where they could no longer manage it. They could no longer handle all of the aspects that had literally grown beyond them. And the conversations that I had with them very early on ignored money. It focused on things that you're hearing about today, where that was the dominant force in my conversation. In fact, I'll tell you, we have people here that say, look, Gordon, we're meeting with the seller. Why are you spending all this time on storytelling, on sharing your background with them, on explaining what your vision is and how you share a vision with them and developing that shared vision. Why are you doing all that? We're here to talk business. And I explained to them, you can't talk business until you establish that connection with the seller so that you matter to them, that they like you and that they're developing a trust for you and they have a respect for you. Because in your storytelling, you're telling them about the experiences you've had, the things you've accomplished, the commonalities that you have between you and them. And what you're doing at this moment in time is you're winning their hearts. You're winning their wanting to have a relationship with you going forward. And the clincher for this particular deal was my bringing to the company a relationship that I've built over time with other people. But in this case, I've had a chance to build, and by the way, a number of relationships using Cosmic Bond with 18 players in every aspect of business. So you want marketing, you want production, you want administration, you want finance. Over time, I mean, it's an advantage of being my age, is I've had a chance to build relationships with people who are 18 players at every level. Well, when I talked to these folks and I started sharing vision and what I wanted for the company, it became clear to them that they really didn't want to sell the company. What they wanted was a growth partner who could now take them to the next level, who could provide the advanced marketing skills that would take them to a higher level of branding, to a higher level of marketability, to opening up more channels for the distribution of their products, who could resource the capital that it would take to grow, who could help them grow externally by buying companies and adding them to theirs so that their company would grow not only internally through more sales, but by acquisition. And then introducing them to the top branding person on planet Earth who I got to agree that if we bought the company, they would come in and do two things. One is to run the company from the administrative side, which they had to do in order to do what they've done. And then also to infuse all of the marketing. And this individual, I'll give you his name, it's Bert Ullman, Bernt Ullman, Ullman. And you can look him up on the internet. He's known as the $6 billion man. You can take some of the greatest apparel companies in the country. He came into them when they were $100 million companies. And within 2 or 3 years, he built them to multi-billion-dollar companies. Well, when these guys heard that I could bring this talent to them, that closed the deal. That's what really nailed it. And it had to do with, if I hadn't shared my vision with them, if I hadn't asked them what their real goals were, if I hadn't dug down into the emotional and heart level of who they are, then this conversation never would have even come up. And so being willing to take your business hat off, put your emotional hat on, your psychological hat on, and looking at the seller as a real person who has hopes and dreams and wants and fears and all the things that all people have, and to build that human connection with them so that they literally fall in love with you. And you fall in love with them, you realize that you're soulmates who it's about time you met each other. You get to that point with people, they're not going to sell that company to anybody else. They want you to own it, and they'll bend over backwards to make the concessions to make the deal happen. Now, you can come to the closing table with deep pockets, and yeah, you're going to close your share of deals. But if you don't have deep pockets, the most effective thing that you can do is build that cosmic bond with the seller, and then start to resource how it is that you deliver to that seller the ideal behind their expectation, so that you can build something together with them. And now you have something really strong.